What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Landry Hat podcast powered by FanSided. I'm your host, Zach. And as you guys can see that if you're watching here on YouTube,
yes, sir.
We're in the building for the NFL draft. And you guys can listen to the Landry Hat podcast wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. If you are listening on audio and you want to see the setup for night 1 and night 2 of the draft, head on over to YouTube. But if you are enjoying the audio version, please go down there and give us 5 stars. We're moving our way up in Cowboys podcasts every single week, and we really, really appreciate you guys for the support. So, Foots, we're here. We're actually 1/3 of the way done with the NFL draft, and the Cowboys made some really big moves. What are just your first overall impressions of night 1 of the draft?
I don't say this because we are a Cowboys publication and Cowboys-based podcast. Zach, first of all, how you doing, sir?
I'm good.
We got up, got some breakfast, and we're coming down off a high because not a literal high. We literally just are excited because I feel like the Cowboys, they're whatever grade is higher than an A+, they got it because to me, they left the first round with Caleb Downs. And that was he was number 1 on your board, correct?
Yep.
He was number 1 on my board. Me and Zach actually hadn't talked about boards. It was cool when we went live yesterday, Zach, and we were talking about that today. Like, we landed on some of the same players. We don't disagree often, but we've disagreed on a few players throughout this process, and that's the beauty of it. Like, yesterday we had some disagreements, and that's cool. But you ended up with Caleb Downs. There's going to be no disagreement. There's going to be no forcing wild takes. This guy has been this since he was at Mill Creek in Georgia. He's been this since he played youth football.
Yep.
He's been this since he went to Alabama. He led Alabama in tackles as a freshman. Nick Saban has some great remarks about him that I'm sure we'll talk about over and over and over again. I won't get tired of talking about it. And then at Ohio State, he, to me, was the best defender on that team. The game that sticks out to me, Zach, is the Miami game. That defense took its lumps. Big running back forward was running through the defense, but Caleb Downs was still making plays. He caused a fumble on the first drive, had like 5 tackles in the first quarter and a half. I mean, this is who he is. He's always around the ball. He's getting up. He's talking. He's physical. And more importantly, Zach, he's going to come in. He's going to change your culture. He's going to make guys who don't work hard uncomfortable. And I think that's what this Cowboys team needs. It was important for them to get the right guy in. So with that first pick, and then we'll talk about Malachi Lawrence, but that first pick, Zach, we can't gloss over how big of a pick. This is a franchise-changing, altering player.
I can't think of a better way for the draft to start. Like, this was best case scenario. It felt like Caleb Downs being my number 1 player, your number 1 player, a lot of people, at least top 3, we were worried that he wasn't going to make it to 12. Like, I had pretty much put that out of my mind because we do it every single year. And I've gotten better as the years have gone on, but not falling in love with a prospect so much that when he flies off the board before the Cowboys pick, or they just move on and don't take that guy, I don't get super upset. Now, we would have been upset if they didn't take Caleb Downs, but interesting enough, I don't think the Miami Dolphins were going to take Downs, but we saw what happened with the Steelers at 21. The Cowboys.
That's a great point.
The Cowboys trade out with the Eagles. The Eagles go up to 20. The Cowboys fall back to 23. Well, the Steelers had called Malachi Lemon. And because they were like, okay, Dallas is taking a defender, we're going to go ahead and call the guy we want. They didn't even know that the Eagles had made that trade until the Eagles tried to call Malachi Lemon and he couldn't answer because he's on the phone with the Steelers. It was an entire mess. But I say all of that to say that's why the Cowboys moved up with Miami. And people were like, why are you moving one spot? Well, at first I'm like, okay, maybe they're worried that Miami was like, we're going to take him if you don't trade up with us, pretty much holding him hostage. But no, a team that was at 15, 16, 17 could have moved up to 11 and taken Caleb Downs because that has been the most obvious pick this entire time. If Downs makes it out of the top 10, he's going to stop at 12 because the Cowboys are going to take him. It was the most obvious selection throughout this entire process for us and the entire NFL. And I think it's just awesome how it worked out. Now I can actually get my hopes up. I wasn't going to get my hopes up until I heard the name Caleb Downs to the Cowboys at 12.
And before we get to Malachi Lawrence, everything you said about Downs, how about the handling of George Pickens? And just a quick nugget, this is the Landry Hat, so we want to hit all things Cowboys. There were times yesterday, Zach and myself were like, what's going on here? Are things getting spooky? He signs it. His tag on draft day. Is Dallas trying to get cute? The Ricky Ricky Scoops, he comes out with the tweet that Dallas is hunting receivers was false, but and then they come back in the press conference and they have zero plans of trading George Pickens. Maybe the olive branch has been extended to David Mulugeta, and so that was some great draft news. But you hit it on the head. The draft couldn't have started any better. You ended up with Caleb Downs. I want to ask you this, Zach, and I know you're hosting, but I just want to ask you a question. Man, can you think of a better first-year pairing for a first-year defensive coordinator than Caleb Downs with Christian Parker?
Yeah, because we talk about what Downs can do on the field with. I just can't imagine two better football guys, like just intellectually football guys. Caleb Downs, a lot of the times on film, seems like he knows what's going on before the play happens, or if half of the defense gets fooled, Caleb Downs isn't fooled. He's able to come down, make the tackle. We saw that a ton of times, but it's just intellectually, Christian Parker, everybody that has talked about him has said, this is a smart football guy, coach. Like, he is going to give them the upper hand because of what he can do with schematics. We complained about Matt Eberflus all year, rightfully so, but it just felt like he could never get out of his own way or try to do something different, change it up. And we know that the talent wasn't good anyway. It does feel like they've added a lot of talent, especially sitting here today after having Caleb Downs. But just those two together, it just makes, I think, each of them better, because now Christian Parker is going to have his coach. You're going to have his guy on the field that can command, and he's going to step into the room day one, and he's going to be a leader because he's been that every single step of the way up to this point.
I don't think he'll be the green dot guy game one, day one. Give it about 2 years, he'll be running this defense. Yeah. He's that type of Ed Reed. I'm serious about that. Somebody today told me they felt like he was Sean Taylor. I think Sean Taylor was a bit taller and a bit more range. I don't want to disrespect the great late Sean Taylor, but he's in that Derwin James, Ed Reed.
An 8 to 10 year vet. Like, he's going to play for a long, long time. He's going to retire, hopefully a Cowboy.
Somebody said he's a better version of Budda Baker. Sign me up. Mm-hmm. Budda Baker, by the way, who undersized and has been to multiple All-Pros, has been an All-Pro multiple times.
So the Cowboys get Downs at 12, and some interesting stuff happened up to that point. Yeah. You have David Bailey go at 2. I always thought that Arvell Reese was at 3. That was pretty much the consensus for a while.
Thought it was talk.
Jeremiah Love goes, and we're like, okay, offensive player. We figured he would go when. We didn't know. Then Carnell Tate goes. Then Arvell Reese goes off the board, and we heard some whispers about Reese would have been a guy they would have been interested in trading up for. Maybe that would have been with the Browns at 6 if Arvell Reese had fallen outside of the top 5, but that didn't happen. The Chiefs go up, get Mansour Delane. Then we start freaking out a little bit because the run on defenders, like we had 2 offensive players go. We didn't expect Tate. I didn't expect Tate to go inside of the top 5. Yeah. But then it starts Arvell Reese, Mansour Delane, who the Chiefs traded up for again. Sonny Styles. Then it switches again. Jordan Tyson goes. That starts the run on offensive players again. Tyson, Fano, CeCe Mauanoa, those 3 guys, and it just happened to work out to where Caleb Downs is playing a position, as good of a football player as he is playing a position that the league doesn't value the same way. He is a little bit smaller. Like, he is not your Kyle Hamilton, whatever, who, by the way, is a guy that fell to 14.
That's true.
Derwin James fell to 17. And there were people saying that Derwin James was one of the best prospects they had ever watched up to that point. I just can't imagine a better scenario. And as we got closer and closer to that pick, I got more and more nervous that it wasn't going to happen, because it just seemed too good to be true. So
can I real quick, Zach? Yeah. We talked about this ad nauseum, and I told people that there hasn't been a top 10 safety since Jamal Adams. listening to you talk, I think the reason Dallas can justify this is because they did have 2 first-round picks. You can also justify it because he's just an amazing talent. But let's be honest. If you're building your team correctly, like I don't want to give the Giants too much credit, but the smart thing I do think that Caleb Downs is a better player than CeCe Malinois. But they have a young quarterback that you need to keep him clean. Yep. He's a quarterback that's already been injured, has 2 concussions. So they have a young quarterback that they need to keep clean. So they'll probably put him at guard or right tackle, whatever. That's where some of that positional value stuff comes from, people, where it's like these teams in the top 10 don't have good rosters across the board. We're going to talk about the run on offensive players, 19 drafted in the first round, a quarterback completely overdrafted. Our reaction, if you guys go watch the live to Ty Simpson going to the Rams, but this is still an offensive league, guys. We're thinking defensive for once because we have had such a terrible defense. We have a great offense, but it was so lopsided. What Caleb Downs is going to do, he's going to come in, he's going to fix a lot. I don't think that people know how much he's going to fix, just from the standpoint of, for once, people will be where they're supposed to be. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. Jalen Thompson is going to help people be. Don't discount Malik Hooker. We'll talk about needs, obviously, but to wrap it all up, this happened because I told Zach, I want to take my time here. I love you guys at the Landry Hat. I'm glad that I'm a cousin over here. Zach, I told you, I hate to be I told you so guy, but Zach, teams were gonna draft offense, and they proved us right, man. Yep. They attacked the offensive side of the ball throughout the first round, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to 20. But man, man.
Well, we all get in this mindset as Cowboys fans. We need defense. Like, not every team's defense was as bad as the Cowboys' defense. Like, it only makes sense when you're rebuilding a roster, especially with young quarterbacks, is you have to get them help. That's the number one most important thing. Like, offense, 1, sells tickets, and 2 is super important. Like, defense wins championships has kind of been overblown at this point. We know what Seattle did and all of that, but Seattle Seahawks offense was really good too, paired with that. Why do we think that quarterbacks are so important? Why did the Rams with Sean McVay, who I don't know if he's really excited about that pick based on the things that I've seen. He didn't seem very happy at his press conference, but why did they take a quarterback with Matthew Stafford and not needing that, but maybe needing a wide receiver or an offensive lineman or a defensive player to try to get over the hill? They still take Ty Simpson, who might not play for another year or 2. But we know the importance of offense. It's the people that throw the ball, the people that protect the thrower, the people that catch the football, and the people on the outside that are trying to get the thrower of the football, and then the people that are trying to stop the people from catching the football. Like that, those positions are going to go inside because you talk about value, you talk about positional value inside of the top 10. It just so happened to work out that the Cowboys defense was so bad that it doesn't matter if they take a safety. It doesn't matter if it was defensive tackle, defensive end. They were only going to get better with this pick, and Caleb Downs is the number 1 player. So before we continue and talk about pick 20, I need to tell you guys about Underdog Fantasy. If you're looking to get in on the NFL offseason action, the NBA playoff action, or really any sport that you can think of, Underdog is one of the most fun ways to do it. Underdog lets you get involved by making simple picks on your favorite players. Just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on their stats, things like points, rebounds, assists, steals, interceptions, passing yards, rushing yards, all of it. Put together a strong entry, and you can build some really big payouts. And I want to continue with the streak of NFL full season picks or NFL off season picks. And this week I'm going with Ashton Jeanty higher than 1,024 season rushing yards. They got some help along the front of the offensive line. They're going to use their running back that they selected with a top 6 pick, more than 1,024 rushing yards in 2026 for Ashton Jeanty. And then a really fun one, Travis Kelce higher than half a rush yard in 2026. He really just needs 1 rush attempt, right? Andy Reid's going to do something funky. It should be Travis. Yeah, a little end around, maybe a little backwards lateral or something. Mahomes working something. He needs to get more than half a rushing yard in 2026. So One good rush attempt should get that done. If you guys want to join in on the action, download the Underdog app today. Use promo code Landry to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Landry, Underdog Fantasy.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
So let's talk about what happened at pick 20, because I feel like we saw some mixed reactions last night on our draft show. There were some people that were like, I get it. We talked about why we get it. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But didn't this just make a ton of sense with what the Cowboys typically do with their draft? How many times have they taken a pass rusher in the second round? What do they not have? They don't have a second round pick. So we knew it was probably going to be defensive back.
Yeah.
We thought maybe there was a chance to be another defensive back because of Christian Parker and them. But who did they miss the most last year on defense? Whether people want to admit it or not, it was Micah being able to get after the quarterback. They didn't have that guy. Malachi Lawrence is that guy. Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about why that pick makes sense, and then Lawrence as an overall player.
I call him he's going to be a energy. He's going to be a spark. He's going to be a charger, right? When you need juice, when your charger's going dead, and your phone is acting a little goofy, Malachi Lawrence come and go get the quarterback. Year one, play one. That's what he's going to do, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to play a lot. If anybody out there is having the why, if you want to know why, Zach, I'll just be honest with you. The why is Christian Parker wanted this. So I got intel, and they the Cowboys brash kind of like spilled the beans at the presser. Christian Parker had an affectionate mindset for this Malachi Lawrence. I wanted Keldrick Faulk. I thought he was a fit. I'm not going to question Christian Parker, because to be honest with you all, Christian Parker has been detailed from the start, right? Players have told you who he is. Teams, writers, everybody has told you who he is. So we got to trust it, and we got to believe it, and we got to get him what he needs. Now, me and Zach were talking about this. You can't get in trouble when you let coaches have complete control. But I think with this guy's warranted, Zach. And the truth of the matter is, I'm okay with the guy knowing what he wants if he can prove why, if he can give you the why. And the why to me is the pass rush juice. You have great run stopping edges. You do. But do you have guys that can bend the edge and go get the quarterback? He has a great long arm. One thing that I saw with him, he has had 2 sacks. He's played all his years at UCF. He has 2 seasons of 7+ sacks. So the sack production is there. I think he has the ability to get better. With NFL coaching, he's going to get better. The 2 things that I love, the great ankle flexion. I always look at defensive ends' ankles. Can they bend? Can they turn, quick run, or are they stopped on their first move? That's not Mal Lawrence. Now, there are things that he needs to get better. Obviously, to run. I'll let you talk about that, Zach. But to me, Dallas trading back and getting this guy, I'm more than fine with this pick.
Why did everybody not want Keldrick Faulk? Like, what was the big thing with the Cowboys? They didn't want Keldrick Faulk because he wasn't developed as a pass rusher. Yeah. What he could do is stop the run. Yeah. And then what did everybody say? Well, that becomes a little bit redundant because you have guys that can stop the run. You could just go down the list. Most of your defensive line guys are run stoppers. Yeah. Quentin Williams can rush the passer. Kenny Clark has lost a little bit of that juice over the years. Rashawn Gary started out last year really, really good, but kind of is a run stopper at this point in his career.
Yeah.
They needed juice. They needed a guy that could get up there, especially on 3rd and long situations where last year they really, really struggled to get after the quarterback. Really struggled. There were like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18 where they just couldn't get to the quarterback.
Nothing.
And teams weren't scared to throw the ball on them because of that. They knew their tackles could hold up. Nobody was getting pressure on the interior. You can double up Quentin Williams. Like, they needed, even if he is strictly for the first year of his career, a 3rd down, obvious passing situation guy. You get him out there, you let him rush the passer, you build his confidence, and you really work on the run stopping ability. Just being more disciplined, making sure his eyes are up, making sure he can find the ball. He's not knifing through and trying to make superhero plays, because we know in the NFL, everybody on the field is pretty much superhuman. They're all fast. Everybody's strong. Like everybody, you have to be mentally in the game as well. And I just think that's kind of what got him in trouble and stopping the run in college, just not being able to play with power and hold his anchor, and then trying to shoot gaps and make plays, which he did. I've said it a couple of times, 28 tackles for loss in his career at UCF. Like, that is not zero production.
That's great production.
That's insane production.
Yeah.
But can you do it on a consistent basis over and over? And because you shoot that gap, that can turn into an 80-yard touchdown run in the NFL. Might not have in college, because you have the guy isn't as fast. He gets tracked down. But in the NFL, you can't let Bijan Robinson hit his head on the goalpost, because you're jumping over a gap and then there's green grass in front of him. I really like Malachi Lawrence. I think in the grand scheme of the Cowboys and what they needed to do in this draft, what they didn't have on this team, Caleb Downs, the brains of the operation, a missile on the back end of the defense, going to be a Christian Parker guy, and then Malachi Lawrence, go get the quarterback.
Yeah.
Can we get somebody to win and pressure the quarterback on third down?
And I think, too, I saw something like, man, second and third round defensive ends just really don't have a high hit rate. You said it. They wanted to attack that position in the first round, and I don't think that they're wrong. This really does feel like it could be a Jared Verse, because here's what I want to tell people. You're not just drafting Malachi Lawrence with Mozzie Smith and, Osa Odigizua. I like both of them. I like Osa. I'm pretty sure Mozzie Smith's a great person, but the player just wasn't. So, yeah. But you're drafting him with Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams, by the way. So don't think that he's going to be getting, he's going to be getting the team's worst tackle. Hey, you go get this kid who has bend. Offenses are going to set their strength to the middle of our defense. You still have to account for an all-pro and a Pro Bowler and Kenny Clark. Make no mistake about that. Make no mistake that after you've been punched on by Rashawn Gary and you've been punched on by Dom Nazaraku, who did become a really good run stopper, you've been punched on by those guys, Zach. Well, now go set. Quick set and go deal with this speed, because the athletic makeup, and we really haven't talked about it, Zach, is exceptional. Okay, 6'4", 252, big body, great vert, 40-inch vert. So he is athletic and he ran well. He ran a 4.5 40. The sack production was good enough that you take this guy, and I'm going to trust my defensive coordinator, paired with Quenny Clark. Yes, Quentin and Kenny, because that's the strength of your defense is those two guys. Obviously, you have a baby joker now in Caleb Downs. So your defense, I did see some like well-respected people saying like Dallas is going to win the NFC East. Their defense is that. And I don't want to go that far, because these guys still got to go out and play, but to parlay it like this, you needed to have this type of draft to go ahead and make a run in Dak's window. To me, as I talk about it, I do get really passionate and excited, because for once, Zach, Dallas stood in, did the right thing. Obviously, they went ahead and traded up for Downs. But to move back for Lawrence and get the 2 4s, I mean, what's way to complain about?
That was probably the best move that they've made in a draft in a really long time, is moving up, giving away a 5 or whatever to the Dolphins. They move up a spot, they get Downs, but being able to get 2 4th rounders, because they need a lot. They need bodies. We've been saying that, and getting 2 4th round picks for the Eagles to come up and get Makai Lemon. I mean, they're going to lose AJ Brown. They have Devontae Smith, Makai. Like, I don't think that was helping them so much to the point that you don't want to do it. But for it to help the Cowboys to get 2 more shots at the board, especially inside of the top, I think it was 120, 115, like getting more dart throws, getting more throws at the board. And for some reason, the Eagles always have so many day 3 picks anyway. So they were willing to give up whatever. Picks, but being able to move up for Downs at 20, move back and still get Lawrence. They said they would have taken Lawrence at 20 if they didn't have a trade back partner.
I believe that too.
I believe that 100%. And I think being able to get those 2 picks, and we'll see what they do, because there's a lot of depth in the back end of day 2, early in day 3 in this draft. There's a lot of guys, a lot of names that we really, really like, and we're going to cover that here on the Landry Hat channel. And before we go, I just want you to put a letter grade on this draft so far, and then maybe give us a little preview of what you think they should do, maybe positional needs, and stuff like that going into day 2. But your grade, and then, the plan on night 2 of the draft.
The grade is an A. They need to hunt linebacker and corner, whichever is best on their board. Me and Zach will be doing some content talking about that, but the grade is an A for me. And that's really, I'm probably being a little bit modest. It could be an A+, honestly. Yep. I mean, that's just me.
I think I would say an A or an A+. Like you get Caleb Downs, even if they had 1 first-round pick, I think I would have been just as excited, because Jerry's going to love him because he's going to sell jerseys. But you can tell that the fans are excited. This is what Cowboys fans really needed.
Yeah,
we needed a guy. We've seen them take the offensive lineman. They took Guyton, they took Booker, they took Tyler Smith, and those are really cool. Yeah. You want to build the offensive line and all of that. But being able to get like the flashy guy that's also a really, really good football player and that has juice and adds juice to the franchise is a lot of fun. And I think going into day 2, like you said, linebacker, I'm interested to see if they do take a linebacker at all, because I'm not sure they're 100% on board with, we're going to reach for a linebacker in round 3 because we really, really need one. Seems like there's plans for them post-draft, maybe if they don't get one. But it's going to be interesting, because up to this point, we talked about it, first round, it was wild. It was all over the place. I expect day 2 and day 3 to be the exact same way. So that's going to do it for today's show on the Landry Hat podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're listening on audio. Remember, you can listen to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're listening on audio, give us 5 stars. We continue to work our way up. I say that every time, but it's awesome to be able to see the Landry Hat inside like the top 10 when you type in Dallas Cowboys podcast. Give us 5 stars. Let us know that you enjoyed it. Comment down below who you want the Cowboys to take tonight on day 2 or night 2 of the NFL draft, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you.